Hey y'all, I'm Teraj.
And I'm Barry.
And we're super excited to have you join us as we explore the beautiful Caribbean island of St. Maarten. So I was invited to come down and perform in St. Maarten, and for me, this was such a dope opportunity for me to share my music with a whole new audience. Typically, when most people think of the island of St. Maarten, they think of the gorgeous landscapes and beaches, but there's so much more depth to it.
So as gay travelers, we always look for destinations that would welcome us. So we were surprised when we were invited to St. Maarten, and they were extremely welcoming to the LGBTQ community.
There's such a rich history to St. Maarten. There's so many LGBTQ plus trailblazers and pioneers that are doing incredible things currently and historically.
Join us and our traveler as we're making it with pride in St. Maarten.
Never said it before, this ain't no episode, I'm just letting you know.
The island only consists of 37 square miles, and St. Maarten is the smallest landmass to contain two nations, France and the Netherlands. This vibrant Caribbean island holds some of the greatest beaches and landscapes, along with a diverse culture containing African, French, and Dutch influences.
And when we first landed, we were greeted by Marla, the tour guide that was showing us around the island. She was the sweetest person, and it made the trip. That first night, we went on a sunset sail and saw the island from a different perspective.
And the trajectory of the sail is started on the Dutch side, and we sailed all the way up to the French side, and you were able to just take in the topography and the vast landscape, the difference in the architecture, the real estate from the Dutch side and the French side, and it was just a really beautiful sight to see. So for our second day, we actually switched locations and made our way over to Philipsburg, where we stayed at the Holland House.
The Holland House was one of the first hotels built in St. Maarten. One of my favorite things of the hotel was the restaurant. It was right along the beach, along the boardwalk, and it had amazing, amazing food.
We were so lucky to have time to explore Philipsburg, which is a super historical town that is extremely vibrant. It was so romantic to just walk along the streets and take in all of the murals, the street arts, go up a couple of staircases and take in those views of the beach. And there was just something about it that just inspired us to dance.
Philipsburg is also the capital of the Dutch side of St. Maarten. Next up, we went to the Parrotville Bird Sanctuary.
So we arrived on the earlier side. We had this entire place to ourselves, so it felt so romantic and almost like it was a date. The birds were super friendly and beautiful, and they just fly up to you and you have the opportunity to feed them with your bare hands. The owner and his team gave us such a warm welcome, and you just felt that we were not just tolerated as an obvious gay couple. They were actually celebrating us and encouraging us to be our authentic selves. It was such an incredible honor for me as an open LGBTQ plus pop and R&B singer to be able to share my music and perform for a new audience in the Caribbean, because I know that opportunity isn't often extended to other people.
Watching Teraj perform was very, very special to me because I knew how important it was to him. It shows that the community really came out to support his performance.
And what was so awesome was getting the chance to talk to two members of parliament after the performance, because I learned that one of them, who's the leader of the Party for Progress, is Melissa Gumbs, who's the first openly LGBTQ plus elected official. And I want to thank Melissa Gumbs so much because we learned an incredible amount. Although the island of St. Maarten is so small, but her work on the world stage, it's incredible, especially for the LGBTQ plus community, as she's a trailblazer, an innovator, and a change maker.
I hope that I can be that example to people, especially in the Caribbean, but everywhere, to know that, it is, times are changing, and eventually we'll get there, to that point, and it really takes us, this generation, to actually push that change forward.
So that night, we went out to celebrate Teraj's performance and also our anniversary. We went to Emilio's, a Caribbean French fusion restaurant.
You're just taken aback by this expansive system of wooden trusses, impeccable stonework. It just had like this ancestral energy to it that was just indescribable. We later learned about the namesake of the restaurant, Emilio, who is an OG LGBTQ plus trailblazer. The co-owner, Norman, took us on a private tour. This is something that we completely did not expect at all. He took us around the back and then downstairs. It was basically a room full of all of these artifacts from Emilio's family. And in Norman's words, he described Emilio as a badass because he was openly gay in the 40s and 50s and 60s on a Caribbean island, and that was just unheard of. His family was enslaved on the land that the restaurant sits on, and he himself saved up enough money to purchase that land that his family was enslaved on. Hearing more about Emilio's story, that resonated with me as a Black pansexual male.
So the next day we went to Rainforest Adventures, where we went tubing and ziplining, and it's actually the steepest zipline in the world.
This is where we discovered that Emilio's legacy didn't end at the restaurant. It actually continued here because he donated all of the land that comprises Rainforest Adventures. It was just non-stop fun. And then when we finally made it up to the steepest zip line, that's when you were able to take in all of St. Maarten, and the view was just incomparable.
So we spent most of our time on the Dutch side, but since the border is so close by, we took a day and went over to the French side, and that's where we ended up at Lottery Farm.
Contrary to its name, which may conjure imagery of agriculture and livestock, Lottery Farms is an expansive 135-acre property comprised of lush forestry with Miami meets Vegas vibes in certain areas. And there's just so much that you could do there. I'd highly recommend spending a day because you go hiking, zip lining, swimming in the pools, cocktails.
And they have an on-site restaurant as well, and it's super ornate, all wood everywhere, and it really reminded me of Tulum.
The best was saved for last in terms of the accommodations. We stayed at the Sonesta Ocean Point Resort, and it was so VIP and ultra luxe, and we had access to literally everything that the resort had to offer.
And we ended up at the very back where it was like the all-inclusive adults only section, and it has a private pool and a private restaurant as well.
We were in for a treat during our day trip to Saba, which is one of St. Maarten's sister islands, and it was one of the most stunning places I've ever seen. To get to it, you can either take a ferry or take a very small plane. Saba has one of the shortest commercial runways in the world and is often noted on top 5 lists as having one of the scariest landings. It's not typically what you think of when it comes to Caribbean islands, as there are no beaches. Instead, you get extreme topography. They have rare sulfur trails and caves. A lot of people go there for scuba diving, fishing, rock climbing, and there's so many awesome boutiques and unique finds, and I have to say this island really upholds sustainability.
While we were there, we went on an amazing hike. When we got to the top, we were treated to gorgeous views of the island and the ocean that surrounds it. And we also went to a couple of shops to shop, and one of the funniest souvenirs is a little magnet that says, "We survived the landing in Saba Island."
There's a strong visibility for the LGBTQ plus community, as there's so many members. I call them family. And I want to give a major thank you to Glenn Holm, who basically showed us the entire island and was our personal guide. He's a legendary figure and icon that worked at the tourism board for over 40 years, and he actually celebrated his 40th anniversary during this trip with us. And he's just a beacon and icon within the LGBTQ plus community.
Saba's my home. home and always wealthy. And this is where I plan to retire.
Before our hike, we also went to the Bottom Bean Cafe to get a little bit of caffeine in us. We also had a chance to speak with the owner, who is part of the LGBTQ community.
My business is the only completely, totally gay-owned and operated business on Saba. We're here for everyone, but it's nice to be able to have that little flag of recognition.
Like a David to Goliath, a child became a man, knocked him down on my silence. Black mother, she's underpaid.
For our last morning in St. Martin, we went on this romantic trip to the Seaside Nature Park, where we went on one of the most beautiful horseback rides I've ever experienced. Incredible views along the way with different terrains, like at certain points there was cactus, infinite views of the ocean.
The best part was when the butterflies came out and it looked like it was snowing, and then at the end we went into the ocean with the horses, and it was just super cute.
Yeah, that's better history. Nah, not that.
When it was time for us to leave St. Martin, I've just really sat back and reflected on the overall experience. Number one, having the amazing opportunity to perform and share my music with a whole new audience. And it just meant so much to me that I was welcomed as an openly pansexual pop and R&B artist. And then on top of that, the sheer beauty of the island is just like something I've never experienced before. But most importantly, the hospitality. We learned so much about the island and its rich history, especially in terms of the LGBTQ plus trailblazers and change makers that are really making moves and shifting the paradigm for our community within the Caribbean.
So on the last day as we were leaving, I was reflecting back on the week of our adventures. And it was like so sad because it felt like we were leaving family, because it was truly that welcoming.
St. Martin is known as the friendly island, and I have to say this was the perfect example of an island that showcases inclusivity, the ultimate in terms of hospitality. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, how you express your love. It really felt like everybody was truly welcome.
Thanks to everyone on St. Martin for their hospitality. We can't wait to visit again soon. We will see you next time on Making It with Pride.